Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today we're talking a little bit about honey. Have you ever had a jar of honey crystallize on you? It gets either very thick and gets a lot of fine crystals in there, or it gets big chunks of crystals in there. And you're wondering, what on earth is going on with the honey? And why did this happen? What did I do wrong? Is this safe to eat? Have you ever had that? Well, if you've ever bought a jar of raw honey, chances are it's crystallized on you. And why does this happen? All honey has water in it, and that water is super saturated with different sugars. The amount and the type of sugars depends upon the type of nectar that the bees use to make the honey. So that water is holding more sugar molecules than it can comfortably hold at the molecular level. It makes it a very unstable type of liquid, and the sugar molecules are going to tend to leach out of that water, making it more stable. So that's why the crystallization happens. Is this safe to eat? Absolutely safe to eat. There is nothing wrong with eating honey that has thickened up or crystallized in some way. And not all honeys will crystallize in the same way. It depends upon the type of sugar that's in there based on the nectar that the bees used. But it's perfectly safe to eat. Some people actually prefer to have crystallized honey. They say it's easier to spread on their toast, it won't drip off, or whatever. So it's perfectly safe. Now, what can you do to fix this problem? How can you restore honey back to its liquid form? First of all, you want to warm it back up, and that will bring it back into solution. But you want to do this gently if you care about maintaining the raw properties of your honey. Raw honey will naturally go and crystallize. Processed honey is unlikely to crystallize like raw honey will. So you want to put it in a warm water bath is one good way to do it. And if you care about maintaining the raw properties, the best thing to do is not to bring it over 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and that will help to maintain the enzymes and the other properties that are in the raw honey. How can you do this? If you have a yogurt maker, setting it in a yogurt maker is an excellent way to do that, because that does brew yogurt at a very low but warm temperature, and it's usually right around 110 degrees. You could also put it in just a bowl of warm water. That warm water will not stay warm for very long if it's, let's say, tap water, and you'll find yourself changing that water out frequently, but that's okay, that's part of the process. And this is not a fast way to do it, but it is an effective way to do it if you want to maintain the raw properties in the honey. I've also seen a suggestion where you could use a crock pot and put water in there, make a water bath for your jar of honey, and put it in there. You could turn it on high for 1 hour and then turn it down to low, or turn it off. And a quick read thermometer would be excellent here, because then you could monitor the temperature of the water and make sure it doesn't go above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And then that honey will be brought back into the liquid form. The sugar will go back into the water molecules and become liquid again. Now, some resources will suggest that you just microwave the honey for brief spurts. Take the lid off or open the lid and do that. That is a way to bring it back into solution. However, you will destroy the raw properties in the honey that you may have wanted in the first place on why you bought it raw. It will kill the enzymes and destroy other factors in that honey as well. Also, if your honey is in a plastic container, which it often comes in, microwaving can break down some of that plastic and leach it into the honey itself, which is not a very desirable thing to do. In addition, that honey will go back into the crystallized form in some period of time. And if you are microwaving and then you repeatedly put it in the microwave time and time again after it recrystallizes, eventually that honey quality is going to break down. It will not be the quality that it was when you bought it. So microwaving is really not suggested by the resources that are in the know, those that raise the bees, those that produce honey. They do not suggest microwaving it. So if you do, now you know the effects of microwaving. Now, how can we prevent that from happening in the first place? I don't think you can totally prevent raw honey from crystallizing, but you can slow down the process by doing certain things. One is either buy it in a glass jar, or when you get it home from plastic, like this is a plastic container, transfer it into a glass jar, hopefully one that has a wide opening to it, a wide mouth to it, so that you, when it does crystallize, if you care to use it crystallized, you can still spoon it out that way without too much difficulty. And then when you go to heat it up, you know that that glass is not going to break down in any way and leach chemicals into the honey. You also never want to store your honey in the refrigerator. That is not the thing to do, because it will invite crystallization that much faster and it will thicken up and be very difficult to use. Also, according to CarolinaHoneybees.com, they suggest storing your honey in a warm but not hot location, and they suggest 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit as being a good temperature for storing honey and slowing down that crystallization process. Again, it will not stop it altogether, but it will slow it down. And I can attest that the warmth does help. This is crystallized. We're in very early spring here as I am recording this, and I bought this over the winter and stored it in my cupboard, and my house is usually kept at 69 degrees during the colder months. Well, it didn't take that long before it thickened up. Well, I just recently started doing this research about honey, and I took it out of the cupboard and put it on my freezer to try to capture some of the warmth that the freezer releases as it's operating, and I noticed that it actually did help to soften it up a little bit. So the warm water bath is a great way, and storing it in a warmer environment, 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, can all be helpful in slowing down the crystallization process and restoring your honey back to a liquid form. If you have questions that I have not addressed, please let me know in the comments section below. This is Judi at Judi in the Kitchen. I hope this helps.